Hey everyone, this is another 15-minute Kinstretch workout, and today we are going to focus on hip external rotation as well as abduction. So we are going to get started by doing some hip cars. So we're going to get onto our hands and knees to begin, and from here we're going to go onto our elbows, and this is going to help us not cheat. So we're going to start with our right leg. You're going to start driving that knee forward, out to the side, start rotating, kicking that heel up towards the ceiling, down, and we're gonna come back the same way we came. So just like all the other videos, we always start with some sort of controlled articular rotation for the specific joint that we're gonna focus on. In a full Kinstretch workout, we would actually focus on all of the joints involved with movement or any kind of movement that we were going to focus on in Kinstretch on that day. So because this is a little bit short and sweet, we got to make do with what we got. So let's aim for one more. Nice and slow, getting that hip to move. Flip around so you can see the other side, and same thing. Forward a little bit so I don't hit the Christmas tree. Big circle. The reason behind the elbows, this tends to kind of fix that tendency that a lot of people have to kind of lean over to one side when it comes to doing hip cars when they're upright on their hands like this, because what happens is people will kind of lean over to make more room, kind of like fake room, for their lack of hip mobility. Let's aim for one more. Perfect. All right, now that both hips are warmed up, we are going to get into our base position. So we're going to get into something called the bear sit. So in the bear sit, you're going to go super wide with the legs, and I want you to think of lining up the ankles with the knees and the knees with the hips. So it's not going to look like this. It's not going to be super wide like this, just enough for everything to be in line. From there, with your hands, you're going to clasp them around the shins and then drive those elbows / forearms to push down on the knees to get a stretch on the inside of the leg. We're going to hold this stretch for our 2 minutes. At the top of the 2 minutes when I tell you to go, your knees are going to try to push your elbows in like this, but the elbows and forearms are going to fight it. And that's going to create that isometric contraction through all the tissue in here. When I tell you to go again, you're going to do the opposite, where you're going to try to drive your knees down to the ground without the help of your elbows. So you're going to kind of think of driving the knees down off the elbows. So for the next 90-ish seconds, we are going to hold the stretch, breathe, try to relax that nervous system, letting it know that this is a okay position to be in. Now, another thing I want you to think of is, as we're holding this position, you're not rounded like this. You want to almost try to stay tall, because the moment I start doing that, that tilts my pelvis and I get a little bit more in here. For a lot of people, if this is a tough position to be in, a little rounding's okay. You can also play around. This is where I get a little bit more specific to the person, is where you can actually bring this a little bit closer, so then you can actually drive your chest forward. So depending on where you're at in your mobility journey, kind of depends on how your bear sit's going to look like. We got about another 20 seconds, and when I tell you to go, knees pushing up, elbows fighting it. We're going to start at 10%. All right, let's start that in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Start pushing up, against those elbows. Elbows are fighting it. We're doing 10% effort. Let's ramp that up to 30, 50. And now max effort. Push. And 3, 2, 1, ease off. Try to fall and get deeper into that stretch. When I tell you to go, you're going to actively drive those knees to the floor without the help of your arms. And go. Push. Push. Drive. Keep driving. In 3, 2, 1, and ease off. All right, from there, we're gonna settle. When I tell you to go, you're gonna think of driving your ankle and knee on your right side up towards the ceiling. For those who want to challenge yourselves, you can have your hands in front, chest is up, hands out to the side. If you find that variation difficult, you can have your hands behind and lean back and keep the chest open. So, find what works for you. 3, 2, 1, lift that right ankle and knee. Hold. As you're holding this, watch this other knee. Did it come up like this? Try to push that down as you're trying to lift this side up. And back down. And lift. Think ankle first, knee second. And back down. One more time. Lift. Because I don't want to see this. This is a lot easier because now I'm just working hip flexion to the side. And back down. We're going to do one more just for good luck. So I have one more thing to say. And lift. In the beginning I said we're working hip external rotation with abduction, but we're also working hip flexion as well. So 3 in 1. And that's why this one sucks. And back down. Perfect. I'm going to grab that block. Now kind of remember where that foot ended up, and that's where you're going to place your block. And we're going to try to lift from this position. All right, 3, 2, 1, lift. And back down. If your foot's barely coming off the block, that's okay, as long as you're trying to focus on this stuff to lift. 3, 2, 1, lift. And back down, and lift. Back down one more time, lift. And back down. All right, keeping the block there. You're gonna take your foot on the inside, so kind of like a cheat position, what I was talking about earlier. What we're gonna do is we're gonna lift and hover over the block, and then we're gonna come back to where we started. So follow along at my pace. 3, 2, 1, we're lifting, going over, down, and back up. Nice and slow. If you found that easy, place that block a little higher. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. And again, think of leading with the ankle, not so much the knee. Watch this other knee. What is it doing? Same for 2 more. Here we go. Go one more. All right, let's take a little break from that bear sit position because it can get taxing on the body. So we're gonna go into a 90-90. I want your left leg in front and right leg behind. What we're gonna do is some axial rotations with the hip. Just follow along and go nice and slow. In this 90-90 position, make sure that right leg's behind you. So we're gonna lift up, rotate that ankle forward, and then we're gonna come back, slowly lower it down. Again, keeping the chest nice and upright, focusing on just that back hip, rotating back and forth, down, forward, and back. A couple more. Think of driving ankle first again, knee second. For one more. From there, we're gonna aim to do the other side. So we're gonna go back to that bear sit. I'm gonna rotate myself over. And again, I'm in that 90-90 position with the ankles, knees, and hips. Hands here or hands behind. For this side, I'm gonna do hands behind to show you that variation. Still, I'm focusing on this position and I'm not curling like a frightened turtle. All right, 3, 2, 1, lift that left ankle. Hold. Now watch what happens when I go forward. That's naturally gonna go lower. Now because I'm moving back, I get a little bit more height back in. If you're a type of person where you're lifting and your leg's like all the way up here because you're back here, you should be over here. All right, if not, stay back here. 3, 2, 1, lift. Aim that ankle as high as possible. And back down. And lift. And back down. And lift. And back down. And lift. And back down one more time. And lift. Pay attention to what the height is. And good. All right. Grab that block at the height where we ended off. Might have to adjust a little bit. Okay. Hands behind, chest is up, and lift. And back down. And lift. Everything you got. And back down. And lift. And back down one more. And lift. And relax. All right. From there, we are going to hover over and then come back. So, get ready. 3, 2, 1. Lift. Hover over. Down. Back up. Watch what this knee is doing on the other side. That's not working. Make sure it's not popping up like this to make it easier. And lift. Breathe. Keep that chest up. Good position. Back up. Let's go one more time. Nice and slow. And lift. Oh, almost dropped in. And good. All right. So same thing like we did on the other side. We're gonna start in that 90-90 position. Again, chest is tall. I'm not leaning forward. I'm not dropping into this position. Trying to stay tall and nice and slow. We're gonna try to rotate this back hip. We're lifting, rotating forward, ankle forward, knee behind. Again, working external rotation. And nice and slow coming down. Lift. If you want to challenge yourself, have your hands in front. Make it easier. Hands down on the ground. Find what works for you. Breathe. One more. I think we're gonna do one more actually after this. It's just feeling way too good, you know? Plus a little bit more hip mobility's not gonna hurt you. Perfect. All right. So that's gonna finish off our 15-minute Kinstretch for hip external rotation with abduction and hip flexion. If you guys have any questions at all of what's going on with all these videos, you have a certain injury, you have a limitation in a certain area in your body, feel free to leave a comment below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this YouTube channel because I'm going to be posting a new 15-minute workout for Kinstretch every single week where we're going to focus on one single joint or movement and we're going to go from there. So that's it for me. Until next time, you guys.